Phil, if you'd like to respond and anything said or anything else you'd like to add, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a few quick responses to make, and then maybe we can hear some questions from the audience, or maybe David and I should act out Monty Python's being hit on the head lesson sketch, and my children might actually watch this video. So I really appreciate David's comments and Michael's comments, putting the book in various contexts. Very interesting for me to hear how you're thinking about it. I mean, both of you, in different ways, make the point that the modern Democratic Party doesn't seem to be clearly standing up for the interests of working class Americans. So that comes through relatively clearly. Two comments focused on Michael's environmental comments. I mean, I'm glad you agree with me on the economic arguments. As you say, I mean, it's relatively clear that flooding labor markets drives down wages, and you don't have to be a Nobel Prize winner in economics to understand that, and there's great evidence from a whole range of sectors about that. So there's a lot about that in the book. On the environmental side, I think I've got a stronger argument than you give me credit for here. I mean, the basic question, whether we're talking about wilderness preservation efforts or greenhouse gas emissions or whatever it might be, the question for environmentalists should always be, why are we arguing for various efficiency improvements, and what do we want to do with those improvements? So, Michael, you're absolutely right that there have been great improvements in the efficiency of agriculture. We can grow more food on less land. The question is, what do we want to do with that? Do we want to use those efficiency improvements to just support an ever larger population? Or do we want to use those efficiency improvements to find a way to just keep more land open and use more land to preserve other species? And don't forget that some of the wonderful efficiency improvements that you reference, they involve other environmental strains, and we're starting to see the impacts of that possibly bumping up against limits regarding that. So modern industrialized agriculture is built on the massive use of cheap fossil fuels, whether that involves running the tractors or making the fertilizer or moving the produce from one part of the world to the other. And we've got an issue around climate change. So my argument in the book is that it's really time for American environmentalists to get more serious about asking the question of what we want to use our efficiency improvements for, and also to get more serious about the idea that we might really be bumping up against real limits in all this, where it just might not be possible to double the population of the United States and preserve much of what we know and care about. So I think we need to take that relatively seriously. Well, maybe I'll stop there and see what kind of questions the audience has about all this.